Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and start building your wealth.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So with tonight's class, guys, we're going to go ahead and kick off here. It is on webinars, workshops, and meetups. Okay. Um, and Rob, can I trouble you again tonight to be my co-pilot for promoting people? Yeah,
I got you.
I appreciate it, man. I'm going to promote you to co-host. There you go. You're now co-host. Um, so, in any case, tonight is all about webinars, workshops, and using Meetup. We're going to go kind of step through it one thing at a time, and I'll show you where you can find some of the material on the subject, where you can do some self-study, watch some video, things like that. And just to give you a little bit of background, when I first started one, I'd already had been in business for probably, I don't know, 5 years. Been in business for 5 years. I already had some traction, had some clients I was working with on a regular basis. Um, and one of the guys that I had met, he was a local investor that taught other people how to invest and invited me to be on his Saturday morning business radio program. At the time, we still have business programs on Saturday and Sunday mornings on radio. Radio just hasn't gone anywhere. But at the time, that was pretty much king. Internet was really just getting going. But he invited me to teach. I'm sorry, he invited me to be a guest on his radio program. And I was flattered. I said, me? I'm just a regular guy. And they said, yeah, I understand you in 40 some odd units. And I didn't think there was anything spectacular because it was a lot of hard work. But I said, yes, one of the funnest things I've ever done, 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And then he called me next week. He said, I just want to tell you, I sold more of my training programs after your radio um, presentation. And I was flattered by that. And he said, would you come? You want to meet some of the guys? I heard you on the radio and they keep asking about you. Just come to class on a Saturday. Just show up. We'll all go to lunch together. And I said, sure. But that led to me teaching some of the class segments, like once or twice a month, just half a day or so. And that ended up leading me to get some business from it because I didn't. Full disclosure here, I didn't get my license initially to be a regular agent. I had no interest in that at all. I wanted to get my license because most agents I met were not trained to work with me as an investor. And I thought, ooh, that's why we have the problem we have. That's why investors talk about agents and agents talk about investors. And I'm thinking, this is a no-brainer. It's information and communication. I want to solve that problem. So I signed up at my local library. This is where you start taking this guy. Okay. Local library. How much does it cost for you to get a room in your local library? Just shout out what you think the answer is, or do a hand signal, or type it in. What do you think it costs to get a room at your library, like once a month or something?
I don't think you have to pay.
Exactly, zero. So that fit the Gary Wilson budget. Excuse me. The nickname of my family is Mr. Frugal, by the way. So, but in any case, and all I had to do was verify to them that I was doing it was a community function, community oriented and serving the community, and it was a nonprofit venture. And me doing the workshop was a nonprofit venture. I didn't charge anything for it. I didn't make any money from it. I didn't go in there promoting properties and all that kind of stuff. That is not what I did. What I did is I went in there and showed them some of the deals that I had done and some of the deals I was currently working on and asking them if they needed help with anything. Well, at the time to ask because we're all in a classroom together with a big giant whiteboard and all the different colored, markers, and we could draw charts and graphs and diagrams and put stuff up on the board as far as remodeling. What does remodeling cost? What does it cost to put in a new faucet these days? We did all that kind of stuff. And man, let me tell you, those guys ate it up. You know, I had a whopping 6 people at the first one. I thought it was a failure. I told my broker the next day, I said, I'll never do one of these guys. What a waste of time. 6 people showed up, and I think I just blew the whole thing. I didn't even know what I was doing. He said, don't be ridiculous. He said, 6 people on your first workshop is actually really good. So most people do first time homebuyer workshops. I guess how many people they get? They might get six. One of them is the lender, one's the realtor, one's the inspector, one's the appraiser, and two people, two prospects. That's what he told me. So I went back and did another one. And what I started doing was this. This is something else to write down. Um, I asked everybody to please bring their friends, neighbors, and relatives and coworkers and fellow church members, people that wanted to invest themselves. Bring them to this free local workshop at the Shaler Public Library. We met every other, it was Wednesday night, by the way, 7 p.m. We met every other Wednesday, 7 p.m. So if you ever wonder why I like to do things at 7 p.m., that's why. In fact, I can tell you for a fact, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are your best nights. The only reason I chose Monday for this is because I can make a play on Monday Night Football. I call this Monday Night Live. We get to play on Saturday Night Live and Monday Night Football. And then my commitment is we're done before the game kicks off. That's why I did Monday. But just know this: if you do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, you'll make a good business out of it. In any case, I would ask them to bring people with them. And don't you know the third meeting, you know, people brought people with them. I was up to 12 people. Well, the word started spreading and I got smarter. For example, in that third meeting, somebody raised her hand and she said, you know, it'd be really nice if we had some tea or coffee or cookies. Do you have any of that kind of stuff here? And I thought, well, no, because I'm kind of a knucklehead. I've never done these things before, but next month we'll. But by the way, guess what happened? Everybody brought in some stuff. I didn't. I brought in, Giant Eagle cookies. That's the local grocery store. And people brought in homemade stuff. It just turned into be a lot of fun. So that thing grew. By the end of the 12-month period, after about 6 months, I had 75 people there. And the librarian came up. She said, after the class, she said, Mr. Wilson, I don't know how to tell you this. She said, you exceeded our fire code tonight by 5 people. And you may have to get a new venue. And I was heartbroken. I said, this is like everybody's used to it. What do I do? And she said, a lot of people get hotel rooms. So I said, okay. So I checked out some local hotel rooms. And I was able to get a room, a big one, that held several hundred people for $200 a pop. And that's what I did. Because by that time, guess what started happening? All the people that were coming to the bi-weekly meeting, that's what they started doing. Buying duplexes and fourplexes and flipping homes and stuff like that. And I never, ever, once in there, ever solicited or sold my services. They all knew I had a license. They all knew I was an investor. So what I told them when it came up in class, somebody raised their hand, hey, could you be a realtor? I would say I'm happy to. With all due respect, we need to address that outside of this venue, because this venue is technically a nonprofit, and I'm doing this on my own time, and we want to keep it that way. So I'm going to give you some numbers here. Okay, my average transaction volume per client during those years when I was in production was 4 transactions per year per client. Some of them were just buying. I did a lot of buyer business, by the way. In fact, I did probably 95% of my business was buy side. Because that's what these investors are doing. They were snapping properties up left and right. Eventually they would sell. So I never had to do anything to get listings. They just needed me from the people that I was serving. And isn't that unusual? I actually started with buyer sides, and that's what led to me getting listings. Because with investors, you don't keep them forever. In fact, the average hold time for investors was a little bit more than 10 years. That's it. My average hold time was 12 years. So, in any case, that year, by the way, some of you might remember this because I think I mentioned it in one of the books. Let me ask you, take a wild guess how many transactions I did that year. Just take a wild guess. Don't be shy. Type it in, shout it out, call it out.
I'll say 100.
Really darn close. Kathy said 200 was actually 110 sides. And that February, my broker called me and said, hey, man, we got to get a picture of you. You're being put in the paper. And I said, what for? Because I like my privacy. And he said, you broke all kinds of records for a solo agent. And I said, really? So in any case, 110. But here's how it happened. I didn't go to 110 closings. I didn't go to 110 inspections. I didn't have 110 clients. I had about 3 dozen clients at that point. That was it. But they bought one, two, three, four, and one engineer, electrical engineer, bought over several years, bought 41 properties with me as his agent. 41. People always talk about loyalty with investors. That's only because they're used to other agents doing things the way they treat other clients. When you learn how to work with investors and identify the right kind of investors, and they see that you have the tools and the strategies and the methodologies and you talk the talk and walk the walk, right? You're not going to have an issue with loyalty. Back then, I never had anybody sign anything with me. I've never signed a buyer's agency agreement. I didn't even know what it was. You know, they weren't going anywhere else because they were comfortable with me. All right. So that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to give you a few assignments tonight. Here's the first assignment. Now, most of you are on the team or you've seen me talk before. Um, I want you to learn. Go to the team website. Actually, let me just share my screen. I'll show you. Okay. I show you exactly where to go. Log in my share function will work. Okay, the team. This is the team website. For those of you who are new, when someone checks us out, globalinvestoragent.com, this is what they see. For those of you who are on the team, not everybody here is on the team, but if you are on the team, click on members login right there, upper right hand corner. Okay. Of course, log in. We hit the login button. And then here's by all the marketing, by the way. Let me show you that first. It was right here to the marketing tab. And you'll see here the last one. This was all alphabetical, top to bottom, left to right. Bottom right hand corner says workshop campaign. You definitely want to go in there. Let's just open it up and show you. Okay. And there's a video in there to watch. There's a written version of the instructions, PDF. The second PDF is an actual checklist to follow, literally step-by-step instructions. Okay. That's a workshop campaign. And remember, the setup for these things was fundamentally the same, whether you're doing a live workshop or a webinar, the setup is essentially the same. The delivery is what's different. But in any case, what I was going to originally show you here is under tools. Okay. I want you to, the ones that say download, I want you to download those. And the bottom left and bottom right are a little bit technical. Just play with them. You can't break them. Just play with them. Plug in numbers and see how those calculators work. One is a single property calculator. The other one is being able to compare properties side by side. Okay. Now the bottom right is just a simple one-page formula for cash flow. Real basic 101 level stuff. The other two are more advanced. Okay. Top row middle and top row right are respectively property inspection report and a rehab analysis report. So you want those. Okay. Those work for flips or rentals. Upper left-hand corner, I'm not sure if that site link still works, but it's an online calculator. If it does, it's awesome. I just haven't used it for a long time. I don't want to click on something. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but the other ones, I want you to download those and just start with the inspection report and the rehab report. They work together. You do the inspection report first. That's you going through a property. Okay. The rehab analysis is taking what you found in your inspection and starting to apply some numbers to it. Okay. Cost of labor and material, right? In the bottom right hand corner, do that one next. That's basic cash flow and rentals. Okay. So that's a homework assignment number one. And here comes homework assignment number two in the training courses. Okay. Now, everybody here, if you're on the team, you automatically have access to Investor Agent. It's the first training program here. And it kind of goes from left to right up to the more advanced commercial stuff. You can see this one has 10 modules. Just stick with the US version. I don't think there's any Canadians on tonight. 10 modules of audio, video, written material, all kinds of things you can download. additional learning with each module. I mean, just a plethora of learning there. What I want you to do is challenge yourself to go through this training. In the first handful of modules, you're going to see the formulas for cash flow and also for maximum allowable offer on flips, and really for rentals too, for that matter. Okay, so that is your homework assignment, and you don't have to complete this quickly. This is something you want to do a module a week or a module a day, whatever your schedule will permit. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with the terminology and the methodology. Okay. All right, let me get rid of this just for the second. Go back to the class. Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah. You have a Hey Kevin, you have a question? If you're there, Kevin, feel free to speak up. Good to see you, buddy. Things are
Yeah,
going
good
well.
to see you. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just listening, like I always
Good,
do.
man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
What, you still in Atlantic City?
Yeah, Keller Williams, Atlantic City, or actually in Ocean City, New Jersey. I
Oh,
just
cool. Okay.
reactivated my license, so I'm ready. I'm gung ho. Gung ho. I got a coach and all that good stuff. Productivity coach. He's up my butt already.
There you
So
go.
I can start making phone calls.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good.
But I
I'm
come
glad
here
to
every
let
Monday night. I appreciate it. I come here every
I
Monday
know.
night.
I see all the time, man. I'm always glad to have you. And Ocean
Yeah.
City is one of my favorite family bases. So
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
okay. Um, well, guys, back to the webinar. Kind of step through how things evolved here. So, as you might imagine, business picked up. Okay, we went to the hotel. It eventually grew to 200 people. And then the guy that had the radio program wanted to take it over, and two police said yes. Okay, he ended up charging money for it. I never charged a dime, by the way. We were charging $10 a meeting, which nothing really, but it did tarnish
There it
things.
comes.
We started using it as
There it
a
comes. A
selling
little
platform.
ways down, but
Sorry, started using it as a selling platform, not a teaching platform. So if you want to write this down, it's really important. When you do this, you've got to really love people. Number one, you got to love people to do this. Okay. Number two is you have to come from contribution. So when you serve people, when you serve others, and one of the best ways you can do that is to help them learn something new, particularly something that it could, be a life-changing, knowledge for them. You're being able to invest and develop another stream of income. You'll have no problem making friends, I can tell you that. But in any case, I did start using my license to serve them. So one of the things I did was I always made sure they learn how to use those forms. That's why I want you guys to learn them first because you're going to have your clients learn how to use those forms. Okay, real basic stuff. And here's how this works. You, you know, I'm not going to get into it tonight. There's another class we're going to teach on how you actually set up a day of showings with a client and the steps you go through step by step. We'll do that in another class. But essentially, what you're doing is you're going to meet them and take them out to look at properties, an average of six. You can show as few as three and as many as seven, but I wouldn't show more than seven. But what you're going to do is instead of you going through and filling out the forms, all the inspection forms, how's the furnace look, how's the roof look, and all that, and the rehab analysis form, instead of you filling those out, who do you have fill those out? Yeah. Go ahead, speak up, guys. Make me happy. Who fills out those forms?
The investor.
You got it. You have them fill it out. And there's a lot of reasons why. One of them is I'd already filled out dozens and hundreds of those forms before. I didn't need to learn how to do them. I needed them to learn how to do them. And this business is learn by doing. Have them fill out the forms. Okay. But something else magical happens. And this was part of marketing science that I had no clue about. I just stumbled across this stuff just by doing it. What happens when people follow your instructions and it's cathartic? They are actually getting physically involved with the process of looking at properties. They're filling out the forms. What does that create inside their mind. What type of how do I say this? It's like a belief. Like they're believing they're going to succeed. And because they're actually physically part of the process, instead of them paying you and you doing all the work, they just show up at the closing. That's not a relationship. Yeah, that's a job. And you want to build a relationship. The way you build this relationship, you're teaching them how to do the work themselves. Because ultimately, in real estate sales, who has the ultimate decision power and the ultimate veto power? The client.
The
Yeah. Well, you better darn sure make sure that they're the ones doing all the work, that they're doing the numbers and not you. That's the other, it's the third reason, legal reason. If you do all the numbers for them and you miss something or something goes wrong, get ready because it's going to hurt. Okay. They'll go to any lawyer. Any lawyer's going to say, wait a minute, who did the numbers? Gary Wilson did the numbers? Oh, boy, he's in big trouble. He steered you wrong. He did you wrong. That never happened to me, by the way. I'm just telling you. My broker said, "Look, you got to be careful what you're doing. You're too nice, and you just have them do the work." And boy, was he right. But what it did it cemented a certain level of commitment on the client part because they are now rolling up their sleeves. They're using their mind, their eyes, their ears, their hands. They're getting involved with the process of identifying and analyzing the properties using the forms. Every form we have on there, your name and email and phone number, by the way. Because when they go show their friends going to say, wait a minute, is that's the person, Connie Vaughn? Would you mind if I call Connie Vaughn? Because it's going to happen. They're going to call you. People are tribal. People have egos, they want to show off. So what happened to me was um, uh, chiropractor was one of them, a dentist was another one. Another one was a fellow scoutmaster. I was a Cub Scout master. And he went and showed off to all the other scout people, right? And then I got all that business. I got all that business. The dentist told his dentist buddies, I got all that business. Chiropractor told his chiropractor buddies, I got all that business. That's what started happening. People are tribal, and they want to show off a little bit. Their egos get involved. So guys, that's exactly what happened. I wish I could tell you there was some Harvard plan involved here. It's not. It's not at all. It's good old fashioned. Some people call it guerrilla marketing. I just call it basically leading from the front and walking the walk and talking the talk, um, and helping them learn to do this on their own. They will still use you as an agent, because most of these folks already had businesses. They already were a dentist or a teacher. They didn't want to be dealing with paperwork and all that stuff, all the legalities. They want to be doing that. That's where we come as agents. Okay. Um, so far, everybody just give me a hand raise, or a thumbs up or thumbs down if you're okay so far or following along with me. I'm trying to really go through and give you some you know, grassroots type stuff here. Because I want you to see in your mind how this plays out. You know, this is not a sales gimmick. It's a servicing gimmick.
But
I don't like to call it a gimmick. Does that make sense?
yes, it does, Gary. Can I just jump in for a second?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Carly.
It doesn't just work in investment. It works in all areas of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
The reason last week I gave out 2.5, 2.6 million in referrals. And the reason I did that is because of some things that I have done in the past of empowering clients to be the ones that are in charge, doing a lot of exactly the same thing that you're saying. So if you've got people on here that are like, I don't know if investing is where I want to jump in, man, what you're teaching, it works for all real estate.
Yeah, it does. New construction, first time home buyers. Think about retirees, guys. Has anybody ever worked with retirees? Just hand raise or type yes in the chat box. Have you ever worked with retirees before? Essentially selling one house, yeah, going to another. So Robin, would you say the retirees, were they pretty much independent, or did they really, really rely on you a lot to help them through the process?
I mean, in some ways, they are even more needy than first-time home buyers because a lot of them maybe haven't bought in 40 years. They've been in their home, and it's a
Yeah.
totally different world than it was 4 decades ago. They
Mhm.
have less urgency, so we really need to, prod them along because it's not typically a critical move. And yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
relationship building there at that age group for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just said the number one, if there's one word tonight, it matters more than all the other words, it's relationship. This relationship. Oh my gosh. So okay. So just to recap so far. Um and I'm gonna get into how you actually get these people in there in a minute. I'll promise you that. But the basic thing is to just get it started. Start somewhere free. Local libraries are always work great. You just have to remember they're they're going to ask you, what it's in there for you, and just say, well, you know what, I'm a real estate agent, but that's not what I'm here doing. I'm here teaching people how to invest. That's what I'm here to do. Nothing more, nothing less. It's an educational event. Nothing's being bought or sold. No properties are being promoted. And I made sure they knew that. Because I had somebody on the inside tell me if you don't say those things, they're going to deny you. They're going to think you're just trying to make it a sales event. So it is, and in all sincerity, it really is not a sales event. But at the end of the day, what does it help? It helps sales in a really big way, you know? So uh, that was really the main thing. And just, and encouraging them to bring people in, bring people with them, things like that. And then when they start wanting to do business with you, it could take 3 months, but hang in there, it's going to happen. And make sure uh, you're not treating them like first-time home buyers because they're not. Chances are these people already have a home. What they need is to learn the proper way to identify and analyze rental properties and flip properties. And that's your purpose. You've got all the forms to do it, all on our website. In fact, um, the next technique, actually, you know what you could do? I didn't have this luxury back then. Always bring your computer with you. Most libraries are going to have a screen. You can connect it with a screen. They have a projector too. In fact, I have a projector. I bought one. Um, I got my first one was like 125 bucks. The one I have now is about a $600 projector. It's super nice. We watch movies on it. I mean, you talk about resolution and HD, 3D, and all this stuff, and we'll take one entire wall and then make it like a movie theater, popcorn, the whole 9 yards. So get something for yourself and have fun with it. That one of those projectors. But in any case, you can log into the team website. All right, this will really get them excited. Go into the team website just like I did here. Okay, and they're going to be intrigued. They're going to ask you, what is all that stuff? And you say, oh, well, here's my training programs. And they say, you have training programs on this stuff? You're going to say, yeah, basic investor agent. Then we move into flipping, then rentals, then wholesaling. Try property management first, then wholesaling, and then finally commercial. It's a proven sequence. We have all these training programs. We have all the marketing tools. We know how to work with banks. There it is at the very second from the bottom on the right, working with banks. Um, you could show them this stuff, right? Show them the AI tools. No other agent is gonna have this stuff unless they're on the team. And if you notice, we don't stack the marketplaces out there. Chances are you're the only person in your market on our team. Is there anybody else? If we ever bring anybody else on the team in your area, because you want them or we put them underneath you. Okay. But show them this stuff. Take them to the tools, right? And let them see firsthand where you're getting these tools, right? Take them to the book section right here and tell them, look, these are the first 5 books: flipping, rentals, being an investor agent, wholesaling, property management at the end. You can you can download these books, guys, yourself and give these books to your prospect for free. So please write that one down. Download these books. It's a PDF version, and you can send them to your clients via email or text if you want to put this on like a Google Drive or something, give them a link. These are yours for free, and you're allowed to give them to them for free. What I'm not allowed to do is I can't sell these to you, because I could get in trouble with the editor publisher. The ones in the middle are totally free. These are called open source books. You guys could actually take these books here, look, big book for the seller, big book for the buyer, 8 steps to a home, real estate investing, everything you need. Um, reasons why now is a great time to buy a home. You guys can download these books, put your picture on the cover, and your name is the author. And all you have to do is provide what's called a citation on the inside cover, already written for you. Let me ask you this. What do you think would have more of an impact on a prospect? You handing them a physical book that has your picture on it and your name, or a business card? Which one's going to have more impact? Yeah, just print 10 of these at a time. You can get it done you can do it online actually. There's online companies that will print books for you for just a few dollars a piece.
Can you repeat that again? We can put our name on there as the author?
Correct. Your picture, your name, and you have to provide, they're called open source books. And yep, and you have to provide a citation, information provided by such and such, So, yep. We're not the only ones that have these, by the way, Connie. You'll find uh, some of my AW colleagues are very good at this type of marketing. They have the same exact books we do. So just do the same thing. In fact, one of my students up in Detroit, he was so proud of himself, um, really shy person. And I said, you know what? I think you ought to do a book because he was really smart. He was studied and studied and studied. I said, try to take one of these free books instead of writing one, and got rid of his business cards. And he started doing business because of these books. People felt people were not giving him. They didn't see the credibility there. They didn't have the respect for him, and it partly was because of the way he presented himself. I said, look, you're going to overcome that by handing people a book and not a business card. And boy, did it work. Um, in any case, these are some of the things that you can use to give people in your workshops. Okay. I want to questions on this stuff, guys, so far? I feel like I'm doing way too much talking. Okay. All right. Well, this is a great segue into the next part, which is webinars. What if you live in a very rural area? There's just not a lot of people around. You maybe got a population of 10 or 20,000 people. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not going to be as easy to do a live local workshop and be able to continue and grow it to any degree. Hi, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching a recording of the Monday Night Live class. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. I'm sure you will. I wanted to let you know that, you can come to Monday Night Live whenever you want, but you can also participate more with the team. Why don't you set up a call with me, a one-on-one strategy call? I can go over everything with you, show you everything that we have to offer. For example, did you know that on our team, not only do you get your leads, we actually give you your own account on our lead gen system. So this puts you in control. You're not waiting on somebody to hand you leads. You get to pick the ones you want. Okay. Huge difference. We have 21 of our own proprietary marketing campaigns. They're all copyright protected. We're the only ones that can use them. Okay. The coaching is absolutely one-on-one. We got 3 coaches. We even have a 4th success coach that we have access to. Okay. One of left fewer than 100 in the world. Okay. One-on-one coaching. Right now the big problem is volume. We need more transactions. We need more inventory. I get it. Well, we know how to get it. Our team actually outproduces the national average by more than 2 to 1. So if you're struggling, don't do that anymore. If you're a solo agent, if you're a team, let's just talk. Smart entrepreneurs are always open to discussion. Learn what we have to offer, and then you can make an informed decision about staying where you are or moving on. You've got to decide, if you're not where you want to be, you've got to take action to get where you want to be. Let's see how we can help you do that. I look forward to talking to you. Click on the link, set up a call. And by the way, I'll see you on the next Monday Night Live. Like if you were in a city like I was in Pittsburgh, in the metro area, 7 counties is 1.8 million people. I had the population to work with. But in Virginia, rural Virginia, I didn't have any, county I was in Virginia, there was only 2,000 homes in the entire county. It was wilderness territory. So there was no live workshops there, but that's where I learned to perfect the webinar. Okay. So here's part 2. Everything we just talked about doing, you can actually do on a webinar, just like we're doing tonight, guys. In fact, what I'm doing tonight is the exact model you follow if we're doing your own webinar. You know, and I'm using investors as an example. You can do it with first-time home buyers. You can do it with, if you live in a community where you have a high population of seniors, absolutely. You know, do a start a local or workshop where people looking to downsize and move into assisted living or independent living, whatever the case is. I have neighbors that are younger than me and have already moved into independent living because they don't want to fix stuff anymore. They don't want to cut any grass. They don't want to, they're done. They just want to go and have fun. And boy, are they retired and they're living the life. Um, and that those communities are set up so that they can transition to the next level, you know, in 20 years down the road. But in any case, a lot of the questions that come up when you're dealing with with seniors have to do with money and legalities, estate planning, trust, all that kind of stuff. I bet you $1 million you could find somebody in your area, a financial planner and a state attorney who would love to do a joint venture with you and help you bring in some people. Okay. So, especially if you're in a state that's attracting a lot of seniors, I'm going to hint for Connie Vaughn there, right? Only reason I know is I've been to where she lives. I've been to Prescott. Beautiful, amazing place. And actually, that's actually a disservice to the area. That area is not all seniors. I just know a lot of seniors move there and like it there. But that is a vibrant community. Actually, if you ever get a chance to go to Prescott, go the Friday. Honey, I think it was a Friday after Thanksgiving Friday. Is when they do the Christmas launch.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it was the whole town comes
That's
out,
beautiful.
guys. Yeah. Bands are playing in all the little shops and stores and
Mm-hmm.
restaurants. It is just a blast. Um, but in any case, doing a webinar is the same steps as doing a live workshop. You're just doing it online. And again, you literally just share your screen, show them the team website, go and show them the training you have. And by the way, um, you can't share with them the actual training material, but the attachments, like the worksheets, the spreadsheets, the calculators, you actually can share those with them. You can share those with them, but just not the content. They have to legally, if they want to get a training program on flipping, I think it's only like $300 or $400. I mean, I'm not here to sell anything like that. I'm just telling you, it's available to them. We just don't ever promote it. Um, I got out of that business a long time ago. But if they want to spend $400 and get all that material, I mean, tell them people used to pay me $2,000 just to get the material. They had me train them to get up and running, up to 25,000 to actually coach them one-on-one. And that's the same material that I use, the exact same material. If they want to spend $400, you would get a more educated client, that's for sure. In fact, I do recommend that, by the way. My best clients, hands down, were the ones that actually knew what they were doing, right? So that's why I always use this as a training platform, a teaching platform. But in any case, are you doing a webinar? You do have to have either like a GoToWebinar account or like me, a Zoom account. My Zoom account costs me a whopping, what, 60 something dollars a month. Um, you know, for the pro level, I think it is, you get up to 500 people. Um, that's a great, I mean, what's the best investment you can make? I can't remember what GoToWebinar is. I had that initially, and it's probably about the same. They're all comparable. Um, some of the platforms I don't like so much. I can't remember what they're called. I'm not going to name names anyways, but some of them, too many steps involved, too technical, and I just I Zoom and GoToWebinar, to me, in my opinion, are the best. Um, okay, now who here is interested in finding out how you actually get people to these things? Yeah, kind of a big deal, right? So here's what I did. Um, I didn't have a big database at the time. Honestly, I can tell you, I remember the exact number. I had 168 people total. You know, because I had just moved. I'm not from Pittsburgh. You know, you name it, I probably lived there, but military kid. So we lived in Germany, Canada, New York, South Carolina, everywhere in between. So when I got here, and by the way, I was also in computer science. If you know anything about people in computer science, they don't let us out much. They sit us in front of a computer, we work all day, they throw us a hunk of meat every now and then to keep us happy. But it wasn't a people job. So when my coach told me you're going to get to 300 people, I said, there is no way. I said, I just moved here. I know my neighbors and people at church. I probably know 20 people. And he said, I know everybody says the same thing. So different subject for a different day, but I just want to tell you, I came up with a whopping 168 people. Okay. So in any case, I just would call them, invite them. That's what I did. Call them, invite them to that library. That's what I did. Now, if you're brand new to an area, you know, hey, this is your night tonight. Everything I'm coming up with, you're like my extra child. So, so if you're new to an area, okay, um, you can leverage organizations. So this is what I would do if I was you. Now, it's brand new to an area. I would look for associations. Just Google, for example, Prescott, Prescott, Arizona associations or associations in Prescott, Arizona. See what's out there. Okay. And there might be one or two that you'd like to personally join for yourself. You might have a kayaking club, a biking club, a reading club. I mean, you never know. I've seen clubs for every possible thing you can imagine. Stamp collecting, coin collecting. Believe it or not, there's a club for bug people that collect bugs. Okay. Um, yep. In fact, if you look at the Association of Association Executives website, there is well over 2,000 associations in the United States. Okay. Everything you can imagine. But in any case, look for a couple of associations you can join. All right. Here's another tool I want you to write down. I mentioned it at the very beginning. Meetup.com. Just Google Meetup. Go out there, sign up. I think you can still get a free account to start with, but just browse the area. Looking for meetups in like a whatever 25-mile radius, and just see what all the meetups are that are available in your area. And you can usually join those meetups for free, right? And just look for, and instead of trying to be somebody you're not, just stick with what you know. So if you like hiking up in the uh, red rocks and the desert and all that stuff, and there's a club for that, by golly, just join it, and go to a couple of club meetings. People are eventually going to ask you two questions: where did you come from, and what do you do, right? And eventually they'll ask you, do you have kids, or you're married, blah blah blah. But when they ask you what you do, you tell them, well, I'm a real estate agent in the area, but more specifically, I work on a platform that caters to real estate investors. We have full strategies, training, the whole 9 yards. It doesn't have to cost the consumer a dime. Don't get too salesy. I'm just saying, use the opportunity to tell them what you do. And some of them will ask you, do you have any properties around here we could take a look at because we want to invest? You say, you know what, let's do this. Let's do a webinar, and I'll show you some of the tools we have and some of the education we have. Let's do that first, because I tell them investing, like anything else, always looks easy till you do it and you realize a lot involved. So how about if I educate you first? It doesn't cost anything. I'd rather you be educated and make good decisions, and I'm happy to help you. Are you okay with that? And that's your sales pitch right there. When you lead from contribution, remember in the beginning we mentioned that? You got to love people. You got to come from contribution. Your contribution is you helping them get educated in the world of real estate. You might only have 3 people show up. That's okay. It's 3 more people than you had the day before. And it's a start. And just do like I did. Keep telling them and invite people. You know, I would look for a local investors club. Okay. And then do the same thing there. I wouldn't charge in there and set something up right away. What I want to do is go to the investor club, go for 3 months, go for a half year if you want to, until you feel like you're a well-established member of that club and you know everybody and everybody knows you, and look for something that's missing. What's missing in that group? Or is there somebody in there really just pitching everything, trying to sell everything, and it's just a money grab for them? That's your opportunity to say, look, let's just get a little mastermind together. Let's get a little subgroup. How about the people in the investor club that have never invested. They've been going for 3 years. Do you think that might be a good group of people to form a weekly webinar around or a monthly webinar? Look for the people that need help and say, look, why don't we just form a little mastermind? We're going to be part of the club. Let's form our own little mastermind for the people that really have not been invested yet. They want to, you just haven't done it. Let's get together all together. How would you like to do that? If you're telling them. Does that help you guys give you an idea of how you can start one? Look for the people that have a need and serve them. Be patient. Some of them are going to run you ragged, but you're going to get a couple of good ones. Okay. And once you get, by the way, I'm going to give you the 7 groups of people you want to work with. Okay. Um, Dentist is always first in my heart. I did a lot of business with dentists. Dentists they make a great group of investors. They're well trained in terms of business and money. They're fun to work with. Uh, Chiropractors is another great group. So dentists, chiropractors, okay. Chiropractors weren't nearly as prolific as the dentists, but they were pretty good as far as the group goes. Um, Teachers make great investors, really good investors, okay. Teachers, um, firemen slash policemen, first responder, make really good investors. They're action takers. They don't let fear stop them from taking action. I love working with those guys. Okay, firemen, policemen. Um, let's see, engineers. Engineers are great. Now, in the beginning, you probably don't know this. Engineers are going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to research everything from top to bottom. But let me tell you, when they start taking action and buying properties, they are going to succeed. I've never worked with a single engineer that completely screwed up. This doesn't happen. It's too far. But here's the thing to remember. There are 452 types of engineers in the world. That's a lot of types of engineers. In any area, I guarantee you, I could find at least civil engineers, mechanical engineers, computer engineers, and electrical engineers. Those 4 groups. In every group, every area I ever went, you can find at least those 4 groups. In any case, engineers are great. By the way, the one client that I told you before bought 41 properties with me. He was an engineer. Okay. In any case, next group of people, pilots. Pilots make great investors. They are some serious decision takers, right? Decision makers, excuse me, and action takers. They make quick decisions. They act on them. They do not change their mind. They're like cowboys in the sky. They see what they want. They do whatever they have to do to go get it, and they get it. Okay. Pilots, and by the way, if you ever want to have a lot of fun, go hang out with some airline pilots. You may never fly again, but you'll have fun with some airline pilots for like the stuff those guys told me. I'm like, holy crap, I don't want to fly again. Um, I have to tell this little bit here. It's so funny. So 2 of my best clients were Pete and Terry. They both were U.S. air pilots. They got eventually picked up by American Airlines. But they told me one time they did this as a joke. They were walking down the corridor to go to their gate. One of them was had like a fake cast on his arm with a sling, right, and another leg with a crutch. And the other guy put on dark glasses like he was blind with a cane. And they're imagine us walking down the corridor, going into the gate. They're going into all the gate. Can you imagine the faces on all the people? Looking at watching these guys like they're the pilot and co-pilot. One of them can't see, and the other one can't see because he's crippled. That's the kind of stuff these guys did. So, in any case, pilots. All right, final group. And this is not any order. Dentists for me are always number 1, but no other order here. Military, active duty, reserves, retirees, Marines, Air Force, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, right? That's 5 different branches of service in 3 different levels: active duty, reserve, and retiree. That's a lot of people. Okay. Now, let me tell you about military people. They have what's called VA eligibility. Any former service members here tonight? Anybody serving in the military? Yep. So Lily, what do you get to keep for life when it comes to financing?
My VA loan.
VA eligibility. Yes, yeah. And guess what? It's not based on one property, it's based on a dollar amount. So if you have VA eligibility up to like $500,000 and you only spent 250 on your personal home, theoretically, you could spend the other 250 on another property. Now, technically, you have to live there, right? You have to live there. If you buy a fourplex, you've got to live there. But here's what they do. And I've had a number of veterans do this. They'll buy a property wherever they're stationed. Anything, duplex, single family, whatever they can, just buy it. They'll live there, they'll rent out the other rooms or the other units. And then when they get transferred, they refinance it with a conventional mortgage. When you refinance a VA loan with a non-VA loan, what does that do to the VA eligibility? It restores it to full eligibility, whatever their limit is, 500,000 in this example. Then you go to the next town, next duty station, do the same thing. Okay. Um, so in any case, military folks are also typically very good at learning, following instructions, executing. I mean, to get through boot camp, you kind of have to, even if you're a complete knucklehead, boot camp will whip you into shape. Really? Yeah. And I got family members who can verify that. They were not the best students in high school, but you go to the military and boot camp, you're going to succeed. I mean, I'm not saying people don't drop out, but you'll learn how to follow instructions, that's for sure. So in any case, those are the 7 groups. Um, Now, I just gave you a grassroots way to identify people. Um, I gave you the top 7 groups of investors, but also joining local groups, local clubs. So if you don't want to start your own club right away, I understand. It does seem, I can see how it can feel like a big step. So just join other clubs that you have some interest in, some personal interest in, because then you're going to want to go back. You're going to meet people and have fun. They're going to get to know you. You're going to get referral business out of it. But more importantly, you can say, you know what, guys, let's do a webinar. I'll show you guys what I have, the tools, the books, the calculators, the spreadsheets. And let's learn how to do this the right way. You guys can all support each other. I'll be happy to be your agent, but let's work together as a group. Does that sound like a good idea? Most people are going to say, yeah, that's a great idea. That's why we do huddles on our team. Because I know for a fact huddles work way better than a bunch of individuals out there. I mean, it's just a fact of life. You get a group of motivated people working on the same thing, the same way at the same time, you are going to outperform the same number of people who were not in any huddle. I mean, it's just a mathematical certainty. So, in any case, if you could download the workshop campaign on the website, just watch the webinar, read the instructions, use the checklist, things like that. But also, if this is something that feels near and dear to your heart, let's set up a one-on-one with me. I mean, please, guys, set up the one-on-ones. It's really integral part of how we succeed here. The huddles are vitally important too. Be a part of at least one huddle, at least one, if not 2, and then do the one-on-ones. Because remember, the huddle is where the learning and the training occurs, but it's the one-on-one where most of the actual implementation and execution occurs, and accountability and things like that. So there's two different forums, and they serve different purposes. So, in any case, any questions, guys? It's 7:57 Eastern. We've got a few minutes here. Show my hands. Who here has actually thought of this before, or is now thinking of it now? Like, hey, this is something I'd like to make this part of my business offering. Yeah, I agree. It was, and the reason I'm teaching it, and I'm teaching this in the Investor Huddle too, guys. Easily one of the top 3 things I did, and at one point it was A1, number 1, not best thing I did for years. The only reason I left is because I left Pittsburgh. I turned that group over to the other guy. He ended up dissipating because he was trying to sell too much and they lost his heart. The group got actually picked up by a local RIA group, and they picked up Baker. Now the RIA group up here is one of the biggest in the country. But in any case, hands down, I wish I had a statistic on how many transactions I got from it. But at that point, I was doing, 8 to 10 transactions a month. There were months, guys, I was literally doing 20, 21, 22 transactions at a time, just by doing this. The local workshop, um, booklet was a biggie. I just kept doing the booklet every single month. Um, back then I used the same letter I teach you guys. I had the same letter back then, but we didn't have really flow. You know how I got my data back then? I would buy the county property data from the county for $50, and I got a disc and all the records, all the property records. Eventually, I got to do where I could get an online link, right? And it went up to like whatever the price was, I forget, but it was online, so it was real time. So I got the latest data in real time mode where it was all updated with the everyday closings and so forth. But the letter, the booklet, and the workshop, hands down, the top three things I've done. I've done all kinds of business venture, I mean, joint ventures, bus tours, all that stuff I did. But those three things were like the building blocks, the fundamentals. In fact, the bus tour came out as an offshoot out of the weekly, monthly, sorry, bi-weekly workshops, the webinar, the book tour. I'll teach you guys the bus tour too this year. Um, Everything else I can think of, working with banks, came out of me trying to find properties for my clients. I realized I was finding a lot of REOs for my clients. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to the banks myself. I'm selling all these darn properties. I'm going to go to the banks. And I did. And I walked in and said, I'm Gary Wilson. I think I've sold like 6 of your properties. I'd like to talk to your lending off, whoever's in charge of the foreclosures, and throw my hat in the ring. I think I can do a pretty good job for you guys. That's how I got bank business. You know, in fact, we'll do a complete workshop just on that. I mean, class. You're going to laugh at this. When I first went to the banks the first couple of times, I was usually wearing jeans and boots in my pickup truck, and I was probably dusty and dirty and had mud on me because I was at my properties, or I was with the clients going to their properties with them, right? And I decided I'm just going to go in the bank. And every one of them did one of these, look me up and down and see my grungy sweatshirt and everything. And finally, I had the idea. I said, you know what? I bet if I dressed up a little bit, I might get some yeses. And sure enough, that's all it took. Pair of slacks, button-up collar shirt, sports coat, no tie, briefcase. Started getting the business, from the banks. But in case the banks came about as me for me doing letters and realizing a lot of the owners were banks. I'm like, well, I don't even know who to write at the bank, and I never got a response anyways. And that's really why I went to go see him initially, because I thought, I know I can sell your property. I just needed to pay attention. That's really all I told him. So in any case, everything started with these three things: letter, booklet, and these workshops. Okay, the webinars came later. The webinars are direct next step from the workshops.
And what
Webinars
about
allow
what do you think about reaching people that are farmers? There's a lot of farmers out here and cowboys.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Funny you should say that. Because when I was teaching in Bloomington, Illinois one year, Um, a lot of the students were saying, we were so far out, Mr. Wilson, we don't have a lot of those things. And one lady said, she said, I disagree. She said, my clients are farmers and they're building duplexes on their farms to house the farm workers. And she had the idea that she would help them, rent those out. And she got business from other investors as a result of doing that. So I'm willing to bet you, Connie, um, I've been out your way quite a bit. I've actually been out there hiking and came across a real live cowboy. I mean, the hat, the
Hmm.
bandana, boots, the sheep herder dog right next to him, and a handful of cattle.
Yeah,
You
when
know,
I
I
first visited a church here, I was looking around like, where'd all these cowboys come from then? Cowboy hats on at church. It's just a different culture, which I kind of like it, but it was just different.
yeah, yep, good people. You know, farmers. I tell you, if you ever need help from somebody, boy, you're lucky if you got some farmers nearby. They're the nicest kind of people you ever meet. Oh my God! But in any case, well, guys, I hope you got a lot out of this class, took notes, and got some things you can actually implement. Um, it all starts with the first step. Just take that first step tonight. Maybe download those forms before you call it quits for tonight. Edit them to put your name and your number and your email on those forms. They're all editable. We did that on purpose for you. You can send them out to your clients. You can just use them. Send them. create a booklet of rentals in the area or flips in the area or both, right? And then uh, make a digital version of it so you don't have to spend money on paper and ink and all that. And then include in your digital version some of the forms I just showed you earlier, property inspection form, rehab analysis form, cash flow form. Put some of those in there with the booklet on the flips and on the rentals. Okay. And
Question, would that be something you could like advertise on Facebook that you have that information if someone's
absolutely
interested?
100%. Yeah. Now on Facebook, um, it's a public forum. So on the booklet, if you ever put a booklet on Facebook, make sure in the booklet, any properties you put in there have already been sold. So it's public information what they sold for. And don't put any addresses or ownership information, anything like that at all. Just say 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom rancher on 2 acres. I can't think of the name of the park on the outside of town. It's a beautiful lake, like some big boulders in it. It's not that far from town. I went up there one day just to hike around, but
Ben
any
Park,
interest?
there's all kind, Prescott Lakes, there's quite a few
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I think I want to say like Walton Lake or something like that, but could be Lake Walton. I don't know, Lake Walton Park, but in any case, uh, just make sure if you put properties out there in a public forum that you're
Well, I'm not
not
talking about the
active.
property. I'm talking about if you were going to advertise like one of those booklets that you have that
Oh, yes,
information available.
absolutely, yeah. But now there's a slightly different subject. But what you want to do is, we can do it two ways. You can put a link in one of the comments. Please link, put up in the comment. I'm sorry, the subject up top. Hey guys, you want a handful of free forms for investing, analysis form, rehab analysis, property inspection, cash flow calculator. Be the first comment below and click on that link to get the forms for free. As long as those forms have your name and number and email on there, otherwise they're going to see my name, number, and email. All right, but yours on there. But what you could do is say, hey, just email me, right? Here's my email address. Have them email you. So then you have their email address. You can try it both ways. Try it one way 1 month, Connie, and the next let a month go by and try it the other way and see which way gives you better results. Yep. So, um, but I try to, I like giving things away for free. All I ask in return is I want to know who I'm giving this stuff to. So, if you give it online directly, just click on the link and get the download. Just ask them, please leave a comment if you do that. Please comment, hey, Connie, I like your form. I like your form, something like that. So you know who got the forms and you can communicate with them through Facebook Messenger. And if you want to do the other option, of course, you'll have their email address. Just have them email you. Put your email in the comment and let them email you at your email, and you'll have their email address there. And you can start a campaign, a follow-up campaign. We have a Flipper follow-up campaign with 17 videos in it. Okay. That's 17 weeks of content for free that you can give them. Everything on flipping.
Is that in Bold Trail?
That one, yes, it's clonable in Bold Trail. The flipping, I forget what they call it, the flipping marketing campaign. Well, here, let's go see. Um, doo, 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 um, marketing, let's just click on one of these. Okay, there is flipping for profits without the risk. So that's the campaign there. But if you go back to the dashboard, if you go to GIA resources, um, oh, they took it away. They're rebuilding this because we went the Bold Trail. Um, I don't think it's going to be in here, but let me just see. Sometimes they put the clonable items. What you get is called a token code. Um, Explain, attracting agents, opportunity, talking. Yeah. Um, if you go to Bold Trail,
Mm-hmm.
you go to smart campaigns, like you're gonna copy a campaign there'll be a menu, a drop-down menu. It should be in there. It should be in there
Okay.
because that was copied over from KV Core. And you literally just select your contact records, receive that campaign, just hit enter, and it'll kick it off for you. You know, yeah. Good questions. Yeah. Okay. Everybody else doing okay? You like this class tonight?
Yes, thank you.
Isn't it easier when you have a smaller class, a smaller group?
Hmm.
And it's more comfortable, and I feel like I can even take my jacket off, you know? But in any case, now keep an eye out too. Remember, new construction huddle is every Tuesday. Now that's already far enough along. If you want to do that, you're gonna have to wait till the next round. Um, but the uh, Wednesday huddle is for investors, and then the next even attracting huddle group is going to start with Thursday. An email would have gone out from Sugar with all that information on there. Um, it's on the, let's see, where was it put out there? The WhatsApp group. Oh, by the way, speaking of WhatsApp, we don't use it for everything because not everybody's on it. However, what I would like you to do, guys, if I know I'm giving you a lot to do tonight, um, look up the EXP hub, the one Glenn Sanford himself created. I would love for all of us ultimately, in fact, I'll just tell you right now, my aim is to have all of us on the hub. We have our own group there, the GIA, Global Investor Asian Team Hub, so we can communicate in there internally amongst each other. And to me, it's easier than it's more, it has more functionality than WhatsApp. It's way easier than Slack. I'm not going to knock Slack. I'm just telling you, you know, we can do better than that. And I think the hub is a way to do it. So make sure you're on the hub. And so ultimately, I want to have all of us on there and do a lot of our internal communications through the hub. Okay. But in any case, back to the agent attraction huddle. I think Ryan Phoenicia, you were on that. Lee Connie, I got you on that. Um, not sure of anybody else here, but uh, that huddle I think is already full. The announcement went out like probably a month ago. But as long as they're working, guys, I'll keep creating a new huddle, right? Agent attraction has become a big thing for people because other people are now seeing the results. It's like, whoa, that stuff really worked. Jess Martin's getting ready to collect her first revenue share check. $100 from one transaction, just revenue share. Not even commission. Imagine if you had a handful of people that are doing transactions for you. You're getting $100 a pop. Pretty nice passive income money there. So in any case, we are going to hold off on the AI huddle probably till June, maybe mid-June. I'll keep you posted on that. I think that's going to be another really good one and probably help other people. I'm telling you, using AI is a tremendous boost to your productivity. Um, it think of it as you're programming the computer to do things for you, and you don't have to be a programmer. You're just talking to it. That's really what you're doing with AI. You're just plain language telling AI what you want. Um, you can create employee with AI, literally like completely made up employees that do work for you, answer the phone and get voicemail to them, have their own phone numbers. And you don't have to, they don't get sick. They don't have workman's comp. They don't take vacation, none of those things, right? It doesn't solve everything, but it definitely allows you to focus on the things that you should be focusing on. Your time should be spent on the things that are most valuable, cost the most to delegate, or make you the most money. Those are the things you do yourself. Everything else you try to automate in some way, shape, or form. So, um, okay, I'm pretty well talked out, but I'm happy to stay if you guys have questions. Okay. Well,
Thank
listen, I'll see you
you.
next. You're
Good
very
night,
welcome.
y'all.
Yep. So next week, guys, is next week says what I just did tonight. So, so tonight was originally going to be corporate prospect, and we already did that. Don't worry about that for now. Just look at the email that comes out tomorrow. Remember the emails that come out with these recordings, if you scroll down, it always has the next 4 weeks classes. Okay. But that's what's going to be accurate. Just look at that and you'll have it. Okay. You guys have a great night. Thanks for participating tonight. I'll see you in the one-on-ones. I'll see you in the huddles, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Gary. Have a great night.
You too. You guys take care.
Thank you for watching Monday Night Live. Consider subscribing. Agents, want to learn more? Schedule a call with Gary using the link in the description.